Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia offers the widest selection of sports cards and signed memorabilia in the city. For dedicated casual and new collectors, Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia has everything a collector could ask for. Everything we sell is stored with care, and with help from our knowledgeable team, we'll help you find exactly what you're looking for. We carry Upper Deck hockey card brands like Series 1 and 2, the Cup, Ultimate, SPA, and plenty more. So what are you waiting for? Come down to Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia, Winnipeg's premier sports cards and memorabilia store. Good afternoon, Manitoba Female Hockey League fans, and welcome into another edition of the Manitoba Female Hockey League podcast here on your home for Manitoba Female U18 AAA Hockey League coverage, G-Show Productions, on gshow.ca. This episode, as always, as all our other episodes, are brought to you by Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia, Terraco Goaltenders, and Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia. I'm your host, of course, Graham the G-Show Forsyth. For this edition of the MFHL podcast, going to be joined by a Winnipeg Avros senior forward in Liberty Aime. She had a chance to commit to a university recently, which we'll be talking about coming up in the interview with her. But before we get into that interview with Liberty, we'll just show you how the Week 13 scores ended up rolling out in this league, as it started off with the Winnipeg Avros big victory over the Brandon Wheat Kings in that rescheduled game from, of course, the Friday before, having that big snowstorm here in Manitoba. But as for the weekend set of action, G-Show Productions was on deck for Yellowhead and Pembina Valley, the Chiefs and Hawks facing off against each other in Morden, as Yellowhead came away with a huge 6-0 victory. But if there was any lesson to be learned from this past weekend in the MFHL, is that every game is a new one, and these teams have short memories. As for the Pembina Valley Hawks bouncing back to beat one of the best teams in the league right now in the Winnipeg Ice 3-2, and the Winnipeg Avros owning the Chiefs 5-1 in that game that they played on Sunday. Wildcats and Capitals ended up being postponed. We'll update you on when that game gets rescheduled. But as for how the standings look, you saw the point totals there on that graphic we just showed. But Eastman still remains in first by 1 point with pretty much an identical record compared to them and the Winnipeg Avros. They just have one more game played on the schedule. At this point, I believe that these are going to be the top two teams in the league, as there's only 32 games played in the season for this season, given that Brandon got added in as that 9th team. So Eastman, Winnipeg, as well as the Winnipeg Ice, I believe they've secured the top 3 spots in the MFHL standings. Interlake and Central Plains looks like they'll be the teams that'll be battling it out in the play-in series, the 8 versus 9 series. As for the offensive and defensive players of the week, congratulations to Rio Pierre on winning offensive player of the week, as well as Madison Freeze winning defensive player of the week for the Pembina Valley Hawks. For Madison, ended up being big time in that big win that her team had over the Winnipeg Ice, stopping 39 shots on 41 against. As for Rio Pierre, her record-breaking season continues with an outstanding week for her, as she had 11 points in 3 games played. Speaking of Rio Pierre, we're going to be talking about her a bit more in just a moment here later on in the show. As first, we're going to send it to an interview with Liberty Aime, forward of the Winnipeg Avros, joining this edition of the MFHL podcast next year on G Show Productions on gshow.ca. Number 17, second year forward and senior forward of the Winnipeg Avros, and Liberty Aime joining this edition of the MFHL podcast. Liberty, another weekend of success for this Winnipeg Avros team with plenty of wins in there. This team continues to stay on pace with the Eastman Selects for top two teams in the MFHL. What's it been like being a part of this year's Avros team, going through what this team's gone through with plenty of success?
It's unbelievable. I think we just have such a strong core this year. So many like grade 12s, as you know. And I just think from the back to the front, like our goaltending is there when we need them most. And I think our defense are holding off people and our forwards can put the puck in the net. So, yeah, I think we just move really well as a unit. And yeah, it's been absolutely so much fun to be winning games. It's great.
Yeah, and for yourself, you've had even more success on the score sheet, 29 points in 48 games played in total compared to 26 points in 62 games played in your first year. Putting up a bit more offense, what it's been like for you
Mhm.
so far this year, getting more comfortable in this league against this competition.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I just think kind of the same thing. Like I've just been focusing a lot more on actually putting the puck in the net and getting in those high scoring areas. So, yeah, I think I'm definitely having a better year than last year. Last year was definitely like a development year, and this year I'm glad to be contributing more to my team on the score sheet. So, yeah, it's been good.
Yeah, and a team that, went through a lot of learning moments last season, a lot of downs, but there were still a lot of ups last season. Of course, it's been mentioned many times here on the show, but
Hmm.
ending in heartbreaking fashion with three straight losses, up 2-0 in the quarterfinals. Given that and everything this team's learned from, can you truly feel, the confidence and truly learning from that coming through so far this year?
Yeah, definitely. I think, yeah, it's so apparent in our group this year that we all, we took the not only just the exit in the first round, but the whole kind of second half of our season personally. And I think so many of us are carrying that with us. And even in our rookies, they kind of feel that too, that this year we're here to do something different than last year and not go out kind of how we did this year or this past year, I guess. But yeah, I think yeah, within all the returners and even the new players, we just kind of hold that personally and we learn from it. But we didn't dwell on it. I think that's the biggest thing too. Like even with the start of our season, we came out hot, just ready to show everyone that, and even prove to ourselves that we're a different team than last year. But we're willing to, yeah, put up the big numbers that we need to.
Builds a lot of character, I feel like, going through something like that and bouncing back
Hmm.
as strong to start off the season as this team did with a lot of the same faces that went through that last year and really keeping it up. As a competitor, having that
Hmm.
extra motivation, like you said, the team hasn't really dwelled on it, but given
Hmm.
that extra edge, how I guess you and the rest, I guess, the returning players kind of use this season to up the competitive side of things that just a little bit more.
Well, I think we really learned you can't take any team for granted. Like last year, we kind of found ourselves in tight games with every team in the league, and I think this year we're really playing every team like they're the top team, and just really elevating our game to play Avros hockey all the time. And I think that's what's kind of made the difference, and us being able to put up like 5 goals or plus a game, like that's been huge this year. And then yeah, really even in practice, just been focusing on scoring goals. Like really, like that's kind of where we fell off last year. So I just think yeah, again, like learning from that, and yeah, like you said, the character building is huge. That we know that every game we play, we have to be playing our best because everyone in this league is ready to play.
I've had a chance to speak to many Avros players throughout the year and to your coach, Ashley Van Egelen, many times. And it always seems like, once you become an Avro and Sorry, the Jets just scored and Dad's going crazy right now. But
No,
what I was
right
getting
on.
to is the Avros is very tight knit year in year out, and you're gonna have a
Hmm.
chance to continue with one of the players you've had a chance to grow close
Hmm.
with, and Celine Wozny. Both of you
Hmm.
committed to Nipissing University to play hockey there for next season. First of all, congratulations.
Thank
What
you.
went into of course, what went into the decision for you to choose that school as the next place to play?
Well, I think a lot went into it. I knew some people who played there previously, and they had nothing but good things to say. And then, I mean, just looking at them like on paper, they've been a fantastic hockey club since they started. And right now they're ranked ninth nationally, which is unbelievable. And they're winning games left, right, and center. So I think not only like the on ice, like that's unbelievable, and their like training programs and everything, that's obviously a great thing to look for, but just the atmosphere the Lakers have and the small town feel of North Bay, like I come from a small town, so I kind of love that everyone's coming to the games and it's a whole yeah, you just kind of get the community feel of the school. So I think that's really what drew me into Nipissing. And then yeah, again, just to compete. I think it's very similar to Avros in that way that once you're an Avro or once you're a Laker, you're always one. So I see a lot of similarities between Avros and Lakers, and that definitely drew both me and Waz into picking Lakers.
Right on, and that's definitely
Hmm.
special for sure. You're able to find a
Hmm.
program that's similar to the program that, of course, you've been developing in for the past few seasons. I'm sure you and Celine have had many conversations already about it, but
Hmm.
how special is that knowing that you're going to be able to spend your next part of your hockey career, your next chapter with
Hmm.
a good teammate of yours?
Well, I mean, it rarely ever happens, so I think we're very, very fortunate. And yeah, it kind of came out of nowhere that we both were able to do that. But as soon as it came to be, we were both so excited. Me and Waz both joined the Avros last year. So we were both rookies coming in. We are like not rookies to the league, but rookies to the Avros. And yeah, we just kind of became good friends right away. And then we played NAC together as well. So we had, I don't know, I just feel like we have chemistry both on and off the ice, which is huge. And I think she's one of the people I would pick to go live with for the next 4 or 5 years. So I'm very, very excited to be moving on with her and very excited for not only me, but what the next 4 or 5 years has in store for her as well.
Yeah, for sure. And like you said, it's rare that this does happen. It's not always the case that you get to carry on playing in the program with, a player that, like you said, you've grown close with. Both of you having a
Hmm.
very similar experience coming in as second year players this year and going into your
Yeah.
last year. But you had mentioned, of course, coming from a small town. Am I pronouncing this right? Clan Boy? Is that how you pronounce it?
Clan de Boy. Yeah. So
Clan
you
Boy.
pronounce it.
So
Yeah.
Plan to
Hmm.
Boy, Manitoba. Like you
Yeah.
mentioned, you had experience in the league before becoming an Avro. How did it come
Hmm.
to be for you to become a member of, I guess, the Winnipeg Avros, coming from a small town that I've never even heard of, to be honest, or some province?
So yeah, I live in a town about an hour north of Winnipeg. And so in my first year, I was cut from both the city teams, and then I tried out for the Central Plains Capitals, and they took me, and I'm very, very grateful. And I had a very good year there as a rookie. I won Rookie of the Year and top points and all that kind of stuff. Lots of awards and stuff there, but I mean that's not all that matters. But I had
Right.
a really good development year there coming from U15. I played in the city for U15 and then I went out to Central Plains. And I think just got a good perspective on kind of my career and they really set me up well. And then coming into my second year, Ashley took me for the Avros, and that was very different because the atmosphere of the teams are very different and the compete level as well. But I was thrilled. It was interesting to play against my former team, and I mean it still kind of is like it's crazy to see like my friends on the other team, and I'm dressed up as an Avro now, but I wouldn't trade it. I'm very happy with where I am, and yeah, I'm just very thankful that Ash believed in me and then took me, and I think it's worked out really well for not only me, but I think I've helped the Avros succeed as well.
Yeah, and quite the journey for you, of course, going
Mhm.
team to team through the first, 2 years of your hockey life, but in this
Hmm.
league specifically.
Yeah.
But the things you took away from Central Plains obviously have benefited this Winnipeg Ice team, the development you had in that first year. Having stability now, though, being with, a lot of the same players from last year, the same group with your second year in this program, I'm sure that's
Hmm.
been a change of pace from,
Hmm.
looking back at your first 2 years that you've probably appreciated.
Oh, 100%, yeah. It's nice to go into, like, a practice and know, like, exactly, well, even a game too, exactly know who's coming and what you're gonna get all the time, and just, like, having that bond off the ice too, like, with the Avros, we do so much traveling, so, you get so close with people right away, you're living in hotel rooms and on buses and whatever, and, yeah, you just create a bond that, like, is never gonna be broken, like, I know I'll be friends with these girls for the rest of my life, so, it's very special. So, yeah, I'm very thankful that for my time in Central Plains, but I was very happy to move on to my next chapter as well.
Yeah, and it's come with a lot of ups, especially this season. And this
Mhm,
team going to be playing against, of course, some AAA teams, a team from the Thunder Bay Queens, and others that are going to be competing in the Female World School Sports Challenge that's going to be played at the Hockey for
mhm.
All Center. How excited is the team, I guess, heading into this weekend? Not playing MFHL opponents all the way throughout, but getting a chance to play high-end opponents from all over the country.
I think we're excited, and I think we've had a taste of that. Like I said before, we travel lots for different showcases, so I think we're excited and we're prepared for this weekend to play Thunder Bay and Pilot Mound and Yellowhead as well. We just played them this past weekend, so it'll be a competitive one. And I think we're also just so excited because I mean it's more hockey, and also we did really well at this tournament last year. We silver medaled at it. So, I mean, we're hoping to improve that. But yeah, I just think it's another weekend of hockey and a little bit of, yeah, like you said, different opponents, which is always fun too. So,
I'll
mhm,
leave you off with this question, Liberty. Obviously, this team is looking to go for a gold this time around, given the context of last year, finishing with the
mhm,
silver. But you all know that there's a bigger task at hand still, which is an MFHL championship, which I'm sure a team of this caliber, the position you're in, you don't want to look too far ahead, but that would I say would be the goal. That's
mhm,
probably
definitely.
the big goal for this team. So how do you kind of, look at this, not get too caught up in the result of this tournament and continue to push forward and look ahead to that bigger goal to prepare for it?
I really just think like this weekend is really just about refining the little things that we catch in our league play. We can really just kind of like fine tune and just implement this weekend and yeah, see what works and what doesn't and just kind of learn from it. Obviously, it's always nice to win games, but like you said, like we're preparing to go far in these playoffs coming up as I think we have 3 or 4 games left. So, yeah, I think this is a huge weekend for us to not only gain some confidence, but just add on to our momentum that we've had. And I think that's the biggest thing is last year we didn't have a whole lot of momentum. So I think this is just a weekend to keep the ball rolling and yeah, just keep playing Avros hockey.
Yeah, and of course, we'll announce it right now. Actually, we're going to be covering the Avros next league game, which is going to be on February 7th at Niverville against the Eastman Selects. So, looking forward
Hmm.
to that on our end. But Liberty, best of luck to you and the rest of the team this weekend coming up, and the rest of the way this season. Can't wait to see what this Avros team does next. Thanks for taking the time.
Yes, of course. Thank you.
And Liberty Amy, number 17, senior forward, and only in her second year with the Winnipeg Avros. But yeah, congratulations to her on committing to the Nipissing University Lakers. This was posted at the time, or recently, after the commitment was made, as she had a chance to make it official, signing pen to paper, and also having a chance to experience this moment with her family. Shout out to Liberty once again. I'm sure her family very proud of her, and yeah, of course, she still has this season left to go with the Avros as we're coming down to the end of the regular season here, as playoff hockey will be starting up soon, coming up in February. Since this is the last day of January today, it's crazy how time has really flown by so far this year. But as for the MFHL, they'll have one more, or I guess 2 more weekends of regular season action, and then playoffs will be starting. A bit of a lighter weekend in terms of their regular season schedule, as most teams in the league, about 5 of them in the Avros, the Chiefs, the Winnipeg Ice, the Minter Lake Lightning, and the Westman Wildcats are all competing in the female World Sports School Challenge at the Hockey for All Center. We're going to have updates on how all 5 of these MFHL teams have been doing in that event so far since the FWSSC started yesterday, and of course is going to be ending this weekend. But before we do that, we're going to throw it into some highlights from a game that was pretty exciting to call here on the network a few weekends ago now, or I guess a few weeks ago, since it was a weekday game between the Eastman Selects and the Winnipeg Ice at the Hockey for All Center. More to come on the MFHL podcast coming up, but first we're going to throw it to those highlights. Stay tuned, everybody.
MFHL Game Day brought to you by Make Canada Fasteners and Tools, Terrico Goaltenders, and Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia. The last time these 2 teams met was on Saturday in Niverville, where the Winnipeg Ice came away with a victory in overtime. Do we get the same here tonight? Ota plays it off the backboards, trying to get that over to Walker, but the Selects intercept down low side of the net. Grunwald able to deny, held in at the point. Haas, her shot through, turned aside. Grunwald somehow able to keep this one out. Normandeau now had a goal on Sunday in Eastman's 3-1 win against the Westman Wildcats. Turnover forced down low. Grunwald somehow making the save. Rebound there, somehow keeping it out again. Wasensensky turns this over to another number 8. And Isabella Carrier, who looks to dangle in. Oh, nice defensive play by Texier on the way back. Goes off with the stick of Robbins. Up top to the point to Delacqui. To Texier. Oh, threads that pass to Robbins off the goalpost. She goes so close. As they're able to get this right back. Cairns over to Delacqui. Up top to Texier. That shot through. Rebound there. Kane's backhand. Oh, that turned aside by that pad. By Labossiere all the way out. Arenas like this where it's a bit hard to see from a distance. Carvalho walking in. That shot turned aside. Protecting this. Gets it to Heidinger. Backhand pass to Dixon. To Rigaud. Vader. Her shot blocked there by Lazarenko. Cairns tries to chip it past Lexi Remillard and does successfully. Cairns look to load up to shoot, but continues to protect it outside. Plays it to the slot for number 4 in Moisey. Moisey backhands this on net. Trying to break through, draw first blood in this game. A pass off the boards, misses. Chloe Carrier, that pass into the slot. Now Jones unloads, short-handed, turned aside by Labossiere. Now this stretched out by the Eastman Selects, trying to go back into the middle. But that pass cut off by the Ice. Now the Ice play this up, looking for an opportunity, trying to go to Chablik, in tight scores! The same girl who ended Saturday's MFHL Game Day Classic opens up the scoring here tonight, and Cassie Carvalho. Emile Carrier down low. Takes a bump there from Cairns. Walker in to try to help out Cairns to get this puck loose. But Carrier continuing to battle. Crazy, there's now 4 Carriers on the same team. Out in front, Heidinger turned aside. Sent in. Or not quite by this Winnipeg Ice squad as it's picked off. Emile Carrier has a girl with her, heading to the net, decides to shoot, unloads that one, and Platt turns it aside. As this picked up by Gabby Robbins, has a girl heading towards the net with her, and Lazarenko, that shot scores! The shot's so good that our camera goes out of focus there. Avery Lazarenko unloads on a crisp pass that she receives from Gabby Robbins. The Winnipeg Ice plays this up the right side, off the boards to, I believe, Chablik. Plays it up to Carvalho, able to get by Chloe Carrier, but Chloe Carrier sticks with her, low slot scores! This top line coming through again for the Winnipeg Ice. As Hallie Chablik gets to prime real estate and makes no mistake with that shot. It's a nice feed by Cassie Carvalho from down low. As the Winnipeg Ice Almost out of another penalty kill here. Maybe not. That shot down low, rebound there, but Heidinger can't come away with it. Patter stick taken away to the body of a Winnipeg Ice player. That now taken away from number 19 and Hepner. That's now Aaliyah Texiera coming in down the right side, turned aside. They've had their chances on net. They just haven't been able to capitalize. So they'll pull the goalie as well to give them some extra help. A 6-on-4 here now as that shot turned aside. Plateau, rebound, scores! A fortunate bounce for the Eastman Selects goes off of, I believe, the right arm of number 16. Is that number 16? No, number 18 in Delaney Rigaud. The Selects' leading goal scorer is Chloe Nicholas. Tried to get back on it. It's played up. Woznessensky heads to the net. Oh, huge save there by the stick of Normando with 17 seconds left. Normando being held in the corner there by Kate Cairns. Up to the boards to Hepner. Blocked by Normando again. Two huge blocks there by number 11, but it won't matter that much for Eastman in terms of them trying to get back to win this game as they fall for a second game in a row against the Winnipeg Ice. As that makes it your final here tonight, MFHL fans.
Mid-Canada Fasteners and Tools has been the place to shop for your industrial needs for over 20 years. Carrying the tools you need to get the job done from the brands you can trust, Mid-Canada Fasteners and Tools has you covered. Brands like Milwaukee Tool, established in 1924 and on display in our Milwaukee Red Zone, the largest red zone in Winnipeg. With construction workers and tradespeople in mind, Mid-Canada Fasteners and Tools is your one-stop shop for all your industrial needs. So come on down to our Winnipeg store location today, located on 1557 King Edward Street in Winnipeg, Manitoba. Welcome back to this edition of the MFHL podcast. Just finished, of course, by showing you all highlights from the most recent installment of the Eastman Selects and Winnipeg Ice's rivalry, as those two teams won't be meeting again till potentially in the playoffs, as teams play each other 4 times in a season here in the MFHL at this point. Speaking of milestones, I guess, happening in the MFHL, they continue here for Rio Pierre as she is now hit the 100-point mark, single season record, I believe, for Rio Pierre. As, 76 points in MFHL play, which is absolutely insane. Gonna pull up this post that the Winnipeg Avros ended up making. So it's a record that's never been set before, so Rio becoming the first player in Avros history to reach the 100-point mark in a season. So congratulations to number 9, who continues to just roll as the season goes along. We'll take a look at her MFHL point total, 76 points so far this season, way clear of everyone else, as she has been for quite a while now. Izzy Mann and Adeline Nolgren tied second in the league for points, as Adeline with a huge week for herself recently. Isabelle Labossiere continues to lead the league in wins with 14 now. She's got 5 shutouts now on her season. She had 3 last time, so huge past weekend for her in her MFHL action there. And as for the goal leaders and assist leaders, it's Rio Pierre on top of both, but Jessica Anderson making things very interesting here in the top 5. She's now up to second. She was about at 5th last time we checked in with these stats. Izzy Mann tied right now with a player as well in terms of the top 5 in goals, as Izzy tied top 5 with Callie Lavalley, having the advantage here, staying within the top 5 on the screen, as you can see here, with a few less games played compared to Callie. Assist leaders still pretty much remain the same. These are our stats leaderboards brought to you by Mid-Canada Fasteners and Tools, your one-stop shop for all your industrial needs here in the province of Manitoba, with store locations in Winnipeg and in Brandon. Be sure to check them out, as well as their website at mccanonfasteners.shop. But as for the week of action coming up for Week 14 in the MFHL, it's going to be a quiet one as we pull up the schedule here. As there's only going to be 2 teams in action in the Brandon Wheat Kings and Pembina Valley Hawks playing in a home-and-home back-to-back. First game tonight in Morden, second game tomorrow night, early evening game in Brandon at 5:30 p.m. As for the Winnipeg Ice and Central Plains Capitals, their game that was postponed is going to be played on Wednesday night in Portage, as they'll make that up on the schedule. But as for the rest of the league, the reason why there's not as much going on this weekend in the MFHL, well, that's because there's 5 teams that are competing in the Female World Sports School Challenge at the Hockey for All Center, the annual event, which saw the Winnipeg Avros end up finishing as the finalists at that event last year, as Liberty Aime mentioned. As for how the standings look so far, MFHL teams in every single pool here, the Westman Wildcats, currently in second place in Pool A with a 1-1 record. They're only a point back of St. Mary's Academy, who's the host team for this tournament. RHA Winnipeg, they're 2-0. Big reason why is they had a shutout victory over the Winnipeg Ice. The Interlake Lightning also in this pool, tied with the Ice, as you can see there in the standings. In Pool B, as for Pool C standings, it's been the Winnipeg Avros who, just like for most of their season, continue to roll here in this tournament. A team that's played in quite a few tournaments early on this year, and as the season's gone along, of course, they've limited the amount of tournaments they've been playing in, but this one, another strong example of why the Winnipeg Avros are such a good team, taking care of business against the Thunder Bay Queens to start off their tournament, and as well as besting their MFHL rival in the Yellowhead Chiefs to move on to 2-0 so far. Yellowhead 1-1 so far through the first 2 games of action. As for how the games have been looking so far, as Yellowhead started off with a 3-0 win over the Pilot Mountain Hockey Academy Buffaloes U18 female prep hockey team yesterday. As for the Winnipeg Ice, that 3-0 loss to RHA Winnipeg, one where they're, of course, they ended up bouncing back from, as we'll pull up this side of the schedule, or I guess not. Ended up missing a few games in there, but for the Winnipeg Ice, just checking back on it. Take a look at the scores so far. They rebounded, of course, from that 3-0 loss. Just trying to take a look at where it's at. Very strange here. Guess we'll take a look at the schedule view, I guess. As for where this game is for the Winnipeg Ice, where they ended up winning it, just trying to find it. I can't believe I can't right now. This is quite annoying. Winnipeg Ice. Strange. We'll check back on that in just a moment. But this is how the schedule looks for the remainder of the tournament. And then tomorrow is when the playoffs are going to be starting. Gold medal game is going to be on Sunday morning between one of these teams that make it through, one of the 2 teams that make it through to the finals, as I should say. This is a look at the goals, assists, and point leaders so far. Rio Pierre on top of the goals and points leaderboards. No shorthanded goals have been scored so far in this tournament. Penalty minutes wise, no MFHL teams in the top 5 there. As for, just trying to find it, the goaltenders, the statistics, as no goaltender from the MFHL side of things has been better than Adriana Almeida so far. Anna Almeida, she ended up having a shutout in that victory against the Yellowhead Chiefs, and as well as having that victory to be in the top 5 and wins so far. Kylie Hack and Claire Merckx also picking up victories so far. And for Kylie Hack, she's been busy so far, facing top 5 amount of saves with top 3 most in shots against and top 3 in saves made so far in this tournament. Be sure to check out the rest of the results, the standings, the scores, anything to do with this tournament by checking out fwssc.ca. We're going to throw it to another commercial break, as we'll be back here to just take you through the standings once again from the MFHL. I'm going to be going through the stats again, and as well as talking about stats from around the Saskatchewan Female AAA Hockey League. Coming up next on the MFHL podcast on G Show Productions on gshow.ca.
Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia offers the widest selection of sports cards and signed memorabilia in the city. For dedicated casual and new collectors, Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia has everything a collector could ask for. Everything we sell is stored with care, and with help from our knowledgeable team, we'll help you find exactly what you're looking for. We carry Upper Deck hockey card brands like Series 1 and 2, The Cup, Ultimate, SPA, and plenty more. So what are you waiting for? Come down to Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia, Winnipeg's premier sports cards and memorabilia store.
Welcome back to the MFHL podcast, episode 16 here in season 2 on G Show Productions on gshow.ca. Found out the game that the Winnipeg Ice ended up winning, that was against the Interlake Lightning, 6-0 last night, so they would improve their record to 1-1 there, of course. For the Winnipeg Ice, going to be taking on more opponents coming up. Well, one more opponent coming up at 5:30 today against the Northern Capitals. The Interlake Lightning taking on RHA at 5:30. Both games, one going to be played on WMGT Arena and one on Flynn Arena at that time at the Hockey for All Center. The Westman Wildcats in action against the host tonight in the St. Mary's Academy Flames, and the Winnipeg Avros taking on the Pilot Mountain Buffaloes. The U18 female preps on the WMGT Arena at 8 p.m. tonight, as mentioned, and as you can see there on the top right-hand screen. All details for this tournament can be checked out and seen on fwssc.ca. As for the past weekend of action, or the past week of action in the MFHL, just to refresh you all, saw some dominant victories in there, some close matchups, and games that ended up being postponed. And as for what's to come for this week in the MFHL, going to be, of course, a quiet weekend of action, as many teams are playing in the Female World Sports School Challenge at the Hockey for All Center. As for when the Wildcats and Capitals game will be rescheduled for, just to clarify, that is, I'm just realizing I didn't. Yes, I believe it may be rescheduled for February 9th, so next Sunday. We will confirm that coming up on next week's edition of the show for you all. Here's how the standings look in the MFHL at this point, as there's pretty much a pause in action for most teams this weekend. Pembina Valley and the Brandon Wheat Kings, though, this is going to be a huge weekend for both these teams, given that they pretty much got the same amount of games played. Brandon has a game in hand on them on the schedule, only 3 points back, and if Brandon is able to take at least one of those games against Pembina Valley, it's going to force a lot of pressure on Pembina Valley to basically win out the rest of the way this year, as they're looking to secure that 5th place ranking. But if not, Brandon could very well jump over them in the standings here, so we'll keep our eyes on that as things continue to develop here as we make our way to the end of the MFHL's regular season. As for the player awards from the past week 13 of action. Rio Pierre taking home Offensive Player of the Week with an outstanding 11-point week in 3 games. As for Madison Freed, she was big time in that victory against the Winnipeg Ice, and it was noticed by the league. Rookie goaltender who's been pretty darn solid this season so far. It'll be interesting to see if that's who Pembina Valley ends up rolling with during playoff time, come their first playoff series. As for, we get into the stats here in the MFHL before we get into the Saskatchewan Female Hockey League. A little sneak peek there at that Rio Pierre graphic as we showed earlier on in the show. She leads the whole league in points. Not only that, but goals and assists as well. Really well balanced in her stats. And yeah, she's 4 points away from hitting that 80-point mark, which, yeah, she continues to put up unprecedented numbers. Going to be interesting to see how the goalie race continues to go as the season comes to an end. As Isabelle Labossiere, the wins leader as it stands right now, would come away with the wins leading crown, I guess, at the end of the year, as we'll just call it that. But yeah, assist leaders and goal leaders, points leaders and goalie leaders, brought to you by Make Canada Fasteners and Tools, your one-stop shop for all your industrial needs here in the province of Manitoba. For the Saskatchewan Female Hockey League, talked about how we're going to be talking about that league more as the champion of the MFHL and the champion of the Saskatchewan Female League end up playing against each other in a best 2 out of 3, which is the West Regional Series, which will be played in Saskatchewan this year in whatever town of the province that comes away with the championship in that league. And it's looking like Battleford is going to be the favorite heading into this year's postseason. They, of course, still remain on top of the standings with a 17-1-2 record, or I guess a 17-1-2-2 record, since they equate, I guess, OT wins separately from wins altogether, unlike the MFHL standings. Kind of wish the MFHL did that and separated things a bit better so things were a bit more clear, but I digress. Battlefords, they've been the toast of the league so far this year. 57 points compared to the second place team in Saskatoon, who's historically strong in this league, along with teams like Regina and teams like Swift Current usually. Notre Dame near the bottom of the standings this year, but they've been a champion in the past 3 years in this league, winning it back in 2021, 2022. But for Battlefords, a season for them where they're in first place, and a team that's been making strides throughout the past few years. They ended up finishing 4th place last season, which was a huge improvement from 2022-2023, where they only won 2 games, and in 2021-2022, where they only won 5 games in their season. So things are on the up and up for that franchise, and a big reason why they've been able to have a lot of success this season has not only been phenomenal goaltending, but the display of skill from Danica Duro, who's in her 2nd season with Battlefords, posting a career high in points right now with 45 and 22 games played. Battlefords also has another player that can beat you, though, in this top 10, and Annika Aspis, with over a point per game, 14 goals, 12 assists, and 22 games played. And then a player like Maggie Rokeman as well, who has 24 points in 22 games. Those 3 being forwards. Been a huge part of Battleford's success so far this year. And if we look at them for Danica, she was a part of Battleford's team last year. Same with Annika. And for Maggie as well, playing on Battleford's last season. So all of these players, went through a great development year with this program last year and have really shown strongly this year. In terms of their goaltending, right? Having a goaltender in Cypress Clausen, who has been really solid, as well as a goaltender who's served as their backup in Mackenzie Seth. The numbers that they've been combining for have been game changers for this Battlefords team. And like the 3 forwards just mentioned in Duro, Aspis, and Rokeman, Clausen was there last season, and same with Mackenzie Seth. So what Battlefords has been able to do is been able to retain that high-end talent that they had last year coming into their program, and have been able to keep it around this year, and it's benefited them at a high level. For the Regina Rebels, though, the defending champions in this league, Berlin Lawlocker, she was a significant piece of their championship team last season. Of course, leading Regina in points this year. Not quite filling the shoes, but doing her best to fill the absence of them missing strikers of Blocky this year, which, in my opinion, if she was still on Regina, they would be considered probably the favorites. They could very well be, near first place in this league, given how much of an impact she truly had on the game. But yeah, you look at the top teams in this league. When we look at Battlefords, Regina, and Saskatoon, big part of it has been the offense that these teams have been able to get from their top end players, and that has come through big time for these teams at this point in the year, as the regular season going to be wrapping up in the Saskatchewan Female Hockey League. Coming up as we look on March 2nd, there's going to be 2 more games played. So this league starts their playoffs way later than the MFHL, as things will get going for the MFHL and their playoffs coming up starting on the week of February 18th. Before that, they're going to have the play-in series the week of February 13th between, it's going to be the Interlake Lightning and the Central Plains Capitals. That's set in stone at this point. Those 2 teams, it's going to be impossible for them to catch Westman and anyone above them in the standings, as there's only 1 game left to be played for Interlake, 4 more games left to be played for Central Plains. So yeah, not even a mathematical possibility for them to make it out of the play-in series. For the Eastman Selects and Winnipeg Avros, they're going to be taking on each other next Friday, which should be a phenomenal contest between the 2 teams. First place will pretty much be on the line in that matchup coming up on next Friday in the MFHL. As taking a look at the schedule, that game going to be played in Niverville. We'll have it here on G Show Productions as the puck will drop at 8 p.m. Teams like the Yellowhead Chiefs, Pembina Valley Hawks, and Brandon Wheat Kings all looking to secure their spots in the standings as the top 6 teams as this season is going to be wrapping up. Huge given that context that Pembina Valley and Brandon, since they're not going anywhere else this weekend, not going to be playing in the Female World Sports School Challenge, they're going to be staying in their homes, I guess. Well, for Brandon, going to be at home on Saturday. For Pembina Valley, at home tonight in Morden, in this home-and-home back-to-back between the 2 teams. And yeah, as we'll show you the standings once more, this is a huge game, as this could have big indications on who finishes 5th and or 6th in the standings here, as we'll be keeping our eyes on that matchup, or those 2 matchups, as this season rolls along here, as well as we'll be keeping our eyes on the Female World Sports School Challenge, hoping that one of those teams that are competing from the MFHL can come home with a championship this year. The Avros were close last year, but ended up losing in the finals. They're looking like they're on track to potentially being the champions this year, though. 11 goals for, only 1 goal against through their first 2 games played. That's a statement to start off for the top 2 team in the MFHL this year, in the Winnipeg Avros, who, of course, searching for that illustrious first championship in franchise history this season. They got a bit more work to do to end off the regular season before they get set for the playoffs, as well as all the rest of the teams here in the MFHL, which we can't wait to report on the progress that these teams make in the last weekend of the season coming up in 2 weeks from now, I guess, since we'll be previewing all the matchups on next week's edition of the MFHL podcast, which will be coming out next Friday. As for this episode 16 in season 2, we're going to be sending it to one last little commercial break here, probably just a transition, then we'll finish off with some final words on this edition of the show. Stick around, everybody, more to come after this. Well, you made it to the end of this edition of the MFHL podcast. I've been your host, Graham, the G Show Forsyth. Special thanks to Liberty Aime for coming on as the guest in this edition of the podcast for episode 16 in season 2. Thank you to you, the viewer, for tuning in to this one as well. Be sure to consider subscribing and leaving a like on this one if you enjoyed this episode. Help support us over here, and we'd appreciate it. So yeah, if you wouldn't mind doing that, would mean a lot to us here over at G Show Productions. I also want to thank Terrico, McKenna Fasteners and Tools, Goaltenders, and Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia for sponsoring another edition of the MFHL podcast. The next one comes out next Friday for episode 17, season 2. We'll have the full details of what's going to be going down in that episode before it comes out, which might be 4 p.m., might be a bit earlier. Who's to say? We'll confirm those details next week. We're also going to have back-to-back MFHL game day live streams next week, starting off with Eastman and the Avros. The Eastman Selects and the Winnipeg Avros taking on each other next Friday at 8 p.m. at the Niverville Rec Center. On Saturday, we'll be in Winnipeg for an early evening game as the Avros will be taking on the Yellowhead Chiefs at 7 Oaks Arena. And then on Sunday, we're going to be back in Niverville as the Selects will be finishing off their regular season against the Yellowhead Chiefs at 2:30 p.m. The puck will drop there at the Niverville Rec Center. Just to confirm once again, I believe Westman and Central Plains, their matchup that got postponed on Sunday is rescheduled for February 9th, so next Sunday. We'll keep you up to date with that and much more from around the MFHL with more news and more guests, and overall a exciting episode coming up that we're going to have in store for you next week, 7 days from now. Until then, MFHL fans, I've been your host, Graham the G Show Forsyth, giving you the salute, bringing that back for this Friday, waving so long, and giving you the peace out until 7 days from now, a week from now, everybody. Enjoy all the great hockey coming your way. MFHL fans and female hockey fans out there, have a safe and wonderful weekend, and we hope to see you tune in once again next week. Take care, everybody.